stared in disbelief as the clerk at the Civil Affairs Bureau told her she was not married. She said this couldn't be true. The clerk checked the records again with a serious look. He confirmed that Lu Shiming was indeed married, but his legal wife was a woman named Lu Shuiyin. Her husband was married to his own secretary. Just a few hours earlier, she was at the office, working undercover to be near the man she loved, when a coworker showed her a shocking video. It showed her husband with his secretary, Lu Shuiyin. In the video, Lu Shuiyin said she had waited 3 years for him and asked if he had any feelings for her. He held her hands and told her he couldn't live without her. Her coworkers immediately started gossiping, saying the two must have spent the night together. Shaken, Song Sisi remembered the night he proposed when he promised to love and protect her forever. As she struggled with this news, her purse got knocked over and her marriage certificate fell out. Before she could hide it, a coworker grabbed it and gasped in surprise upon finding out she was married to the CEO. In the chaos that followed, coffee spilled all over the document, ruining it. Annoyed by another coworker's comment that Lu Shiming should have been with Lu Shuiyin all along, she decided to get a new certificate to stop the rumors. That choice led her to this counter and to this heartbreaking truth. She left the bureau in shock and went home, but as she reached the door, she heard her husband's voice inside, laughing with his friends. He was explaining why he married Lu Shuiyin. He said both he and the company needed her, and it was a promise he made 3 years ago, long before he unexpectedly fell in love with Song Seo. His friend then dropped the final bombshell, reminding him how he had purposely given Song Seo a fake marriage certificate. Her husband called it the perfect plan. He bragged that it was the best of both worlds, allowing him to have 2 women at once. He swore he would never let Song Si find out the truth. She pushed the door open. His friends panicked and rushed to leave. But her husband, the man who created this whole lie, walked over with a gentle smile. He hugged her, sweetly calling her his baby and asking where she had been. He pretended to be worried that she hadn't answered her phone. He told her not to worry about dinner, because he would cook for her. He even reminded her about the birthday party he was planning, telling her to buy any dress she wanted, and not to worry about spending his money. She looked into his eyes and saw nothing but a perfect act. She realized that to him, their love was just a role he was playing. Her husband held his real wife in his arms, whispering that they were a married couple just doing what they were supposed to do. Heartbroken and holding her resignation letter, Song Si realized her whole life was a lie. She had planned to quit her job, but before she could, she peeked into her husband's office and saw him with his secretary, Lu Shuiyin. As Lu Shuiyin touched his face, she teased him about probably being afraid that his precious Song Si would find out. He told her not to worry, saying Song Si would never show up there. He then revealed the most chilling part of his plan. Her parents were dead, and their company already belonged to him. Song Si collapsed, her world falling apart as she recorded their whole conversation. It turned out that 3 years ago, a rival CEO named Yi Chen had drugged her. But before he could do anything, her loving husband Lu Shiming arrived, not to save her, but to set up a scene. He laid her on the bed next to the unconscious Yi Chen, took a damaging photo, and then showed it to her horrified parents. He played the part of the upset boyfriend, blaming himself for being too late. With her reputation destroyed, he offered the perfect solution. He would marry her and save the family's honor. Her father, desperate, agreed and offered him 30% of the company's shares to be transferred over 3 years as long as he treated her well. At her birthday party, Lu Shiming played the loving husband, surrounded by guests, praising their perfect marriage. Suddenly, his real wife, Lu Shuiyin, arrived. He panicked and told her to leave, but she boldly walked up to Song Si, giving her a gift of aromatherapy. She told Song Si that since Lu Shiming works so hard, she should take good care of him at home, just like she takes care of him at the office. Coldly, Song Si replied that her husband's grandfather lived to be over 100 because he never got involved in other people's business. As guests laughed nervously, Lu Shiming pulled Lu Shuiyin aside, furious. But she was not afraid. She reminded him of his promise that after 3 years he would make her the real Mrs. Lu. He assured her that he had only used Song Si to get her family's company and that his heart had always belonged only to her. That was the last thing Song Si heard before she grabbed a cake knife, walked over, and stabbed him in the back. As he fell, he stared at her in shock, asking why she did it. She looked down at him and said he had forced her to do this. But then, he stood up, completely fine, and pulled a protective plate from under his shirt. He started to laugh, a cruel, mocking sound. He told her that she was still as stupid as ever and that she deserved to be tricked. Then, Lu Shuiyin, the guests, and everyone at the party all started to laugh with him, their faces twisted with amusement at her complete despair. She fainted. When she woke up, everything was a blur, and she realized the whole betrayal had been a bad dream. But her relief didn't last long. But with a confession, he told her meeting her was the greatest luck of his life. As the crowd chanted for them to kiss, he leaned in and whispered words of love, a cruel echo of the lies from her dream. She pushed him away, realizing that even this reality was an act. Disgusted, she told him she was done playing along. Just as she turned to leave, she noticed the birthday cake had been slashed, a detail from her nightmare now real. Her husband accused her of ruining it, but she knew it was him, setting her up again. The final blow came when his legal wife Lu Shayin appeared, whispering that the priceless statue, his birthday gift, could be deadly. With a slight push, she sent the huge sculpture falling towards Song Si. In a flash, Song Si pulled Lu Shayin in front of her. But as her husband cried out, he rushed to save Lu Shayin, pushing Song Si into the statue's path. Song Si insisted that it was Lu Shayin who had pulled her toward the statue, but he wouldn't listen. He accused her of framing Lu Shayin, his voice cold and sharp. Song Si begged, asking if he really believed Lu Shayin did this. She asked if he thought Lu Shayin would hurt herself just to frame her. He didn't answer. He just told her he had no time for her games and rushed Lu Shayin to the hospital, leaving Song Si alone with the wreckage of her life. Later, he visited his wife in the hospital, comforting her as she said she was terrified of Song Si. He swore he would never let her be hurt again, a promise he never made to the woman he called his wife. With her immigration papers finally approved, Song Si booked a flight, but just as she was about to escape, a rival CEO, Ye Chen, the man her husband had used to ruin her, appeared. He had just learned the truth about that night 3 years ago. At that very moment, his phone rang. Song Si had been kidnapped. The man brutally beat the woman trapped in the sack, thinking he was punishing a thug sent by the woman he loved. It turned out his new wife had set up the whole kidnapping to frame her rival. She lied, saying that if the woman Song Si found out about their secret marriage, she would be killed. Believing he was protecting his new wife, he beat the sack without stopping to send a warning, while Song Si suffered inside, realizing the man who promised to love her was now torturing her on her enemy's orders. To make it worse, the new wife then whispered to the beaten Song Si that the man was also connected to her parents' death. After the two lovers left, Song Si crawled from the sack and called the man for help, but he coldly said he was busy with his new wife and hung up. Just as she was about to pass out, she was found by another man who rushed to her side, promising he was late and vowing to never let her get hurt again. She woke up in a hospital, saved by the mysterious man. But in the hallway, she overheard nurses gossiping about the couple in the next room. It was her lover, taking care of the very woman who had tried to kill her. Overwhelmed by the betrayal, she collapsed in the hallway, only to be caught by her savior. At that same moment, her lover walked by and saw her in another man's arms, but he just turned away, convinced the woman he knew loved him too much to ever be with someone else. As her savior helps her, he reminds her of a night 3 years ago when she, drugged and desperate, had pulled him into a hotel room. She doesn't remember, but he admits he has been looking for her ever since. The next day, she wakes up in a hotel room to find her lover, along with her parents, demanding that she agree to marry him. Worried, she goes to her own home, only to find him and her savior inside, secretly looking for an immigration document. They hide under a desk as her lover enters and starts looking for the same document. Afraid he will find out about her plan to escape, she intentionally makes a noise, but her savior stops her, promising to keep her safe. Her lover eventually leaves to check on his other woman at the hospital, and her savior gets the hidden immigration papers. As she tears up a photo of her and her lover, she finally chooses her savior. With her savior's help, she makes a plan for revenge. She agrees to marry him on the condition that he helps her get her family's company back and expose her lover's crimes. As they get ready to escape together, her ex-lover, sensing she is at the house, rushes back, only to find her closet empty and her gone. He desperately calls her name, promising to fire his other woman, but she has already left with her new ally. As they escape, Song Si throws her engagement ring out of the car window, vowing that the next time she sees her ex, he will pay for his betrayal. Meanwhile, her ex-lover gets an unexpected call from a new business partner, the N&Y Group, which he sees as his chance to finally get the company's shares and trap Song Si forever. Back in the office, his new wife brags to a friend that she will soon be the true lady of the house, but he storms in and says that his only wife is Song Si, before demanding a divorce. His wife accused him of cheating, so he threw a phone in her face and demanded a divorce. Stunned, she saw a video of her true self and couldn't believe he knew her secret. He yelled at her, asking how she could dare to hurt the other woman, Song Si, who knew nothing. But his wife just laughed. She said Song Si's only fault was getting in her way and declared herself the only rightful wife. He called her a disappointment and told her to wait for the divorce papers. That is when she reminded him of their 3-year agreement in which he had promised to divorce Song Si as soon as they got the company shares. She slapped him, screaming that now that they were about to succeed, he was throwing her aside like a pawn. He admitted he had wronged her, but insisted she never should have touched Song Si. She started to laugh wildly, teasing him. She reminded him that he was the one who delivered the 99 brutal strikes that nearly killed Song Si, mimicking the other woman's desperate cries for his help. The memory made him furious. He grabbed his wife by the throat, choking her as he screamed for her to shut up. Gasping for air, she threatened to expose their whole fake marriage to Song Si once he gave her 15% of his shares. She warned him that after 3 years of running the company, all the employees were loyal to her. For a moment, he tightened his grip, ready to kill her to make up for what he had done to Song Si, but he couldn't do it. The second he let go, she collapsed, instantly turning into a crying victim. She crawled to him, grabbing his leg and begging for forgiveness, saying she was just terrified of losing him. She hugged him, pleading that she had been wrong and asking him to take her back. He looked down at her with a cold expression and told her this was her last chance.